Hello, welcome to Remembering Grandma's Kitchen. Today we are making cloud biscuits. Alright, we're going to start off with half a cup of solid shortening that I've stuck in the freezer for a couple hours to get it nice and cold. Run it through the big holes on your cheese grater, and then stick it back in the freezer. That'll make it easier to incorporate later into the flour mixture. Alright, now that that's out of the way, we're going to get our mixing bowl over here. Then we're going to add in 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Tablespoon of sugar. 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to get that all forked together here, make it easier to get our butter in there. And we're going to add that in, fork it as well until everything's coated with flour a little bit. Then once that's all mixed together, we're going to get our hand in there, make sure all that butter is cut in really well and well incorporated. Then we're going to add in 2/3 cup milk with 1 large egg kind of mixed into it. Give that a little mix till it's getting there, and then once again get our hand in there, finish it off. Then once it all kind of comes together into one cohesive dough, we're going to set the bowl aside and lightly flour the work surface. Then we'll put our dough down there and put a little more flour on top. Then we'll pat this down into about a 1/2 inch thickness. And then we can start cutting. You can use whatever you want to cut these. I like to use just a good old-fashioned tin can with both ends cut off. Try to fit them as well as you can on there. Usually, if you're careful, you can get about 8 biscuits per recipe. And don't worry if you get a little on the edge. Some of these biscuits don't need to have perfect circles. And then kind of pull them all out of there. And then with that leftover dough, you can kind of roll that back up, pat it out again, and you'll get 1 extra biscuit out of it. Then we're going to put our biscuits on a dry baking sheet, and then those go into a 450-degree oven for 15 to 17 minutes until they're golden brown. Now, biscuits by themselves are kind of boring, so one of my favorite things to do right here is biscuits and gravy. So we're just going to get a pound of breakfast sausage into the skillet, start browning it up pretty good. We're going to give it a generous seasoning with fresh black pepper. And once that's browned up nicely and the fat's rendered out, we're going to use that sausage fat to create the base for our roux. I'm adding in just a couple tablespoons of all-purpose flour here. Then I'm going to stir that up and give it a minute or two to cook out the raw flour taste. And then we're going to add in our milk here for the gravy. I like mine to be a little on the thinner side, so I use about a quart of milk for this amount. But if you like it a little thicker, you can do 3 or even 2 cups. And then we're going to put that aside while it comes up to temp, because our biscuits are hot out of the oven, looking pretty good. And now we have a terribly framed shot of me attempting to get the interior of one. And we're coming back to our gravy now. As you can see, as it kind of heats up, that fat floating on top kind of mixes in with everything else and emulsifies, and you get a nice smooth gravy. So we're just going to give that a stir, make sure nothing's stuck to the bottom, let that thicken up a little bit, and then we're just about done here. Give it a generous seasoning with some kosher salt and a little more black pepper. And we're pretty much done. We're gonna set the gravy aside, grab a couple plates, plate up some of these biscuits, throw some gravy on there. That one's going to my wife. And then, as a little nod to my grandma, we're gonna plate up one biscuit with just some plain white sauce and a hard-boiled egg. And there we have cloud biscuits with gravy. And you can really eat these any way you want: peanut butter, jelly, or my favorite, a little butter and some fresh honey on there. Thanks for watching.